Hello Aquarius, welcome to your reading. My dear Aquarius, so this is going to be a reading for sort of like the end of the year, because I'm planning on starting readings for 2022, so like the big readings. But I thought it would be really important to stop for a second and look back, not just at what happened last year, but what you may be carrying to the new year, what you've learned, what you perhaps ignored, and what you also should be proud of, and sort of build even more sort of as a foundations going into the new year. So I do think it's actually quite an important reading, and I do feel like you'll take a lot out of it, and that way we're not going to mix these messages with the projections for the new year. So I have a few cards on the table. I'm actually planning on shuffling and adding more, but let's start with what we have, because I've used quite a few decks as a starting point. And you have actually quite beautiful reading in many ways, because I feel like a lot of energy for you last year, it was really about finding love, connections, passion around you again, and really just putting yourself out there and really kind of reconnecting with a lot of your like emotions and emotional side, really kind of putting it out there. And maybe that's something that for a while it wasn't something that you were doing quite naturally. I'm not going to even sort of open too many past situations for you, but it does seem to me like maybe you've had to sort of walk away from quite a few relationships in your life in the last year or two. This could have been romantic, but also friendships, family, maybe business relationships too, and that have somehow closed you off for some time. But I think last year energy was again that trigger to start opening up again, to start putting your heart on the hand, at least with people that you really trust. And you should be really proud of it, because look at this energy of Knight of Cups and Prince of Cups in a spot of what you should be really proud of. So let me just show you. It's almost as you've really taken a lot of initiative last year. I feel like a lot of it was really down to you and how much you've offered to others. You really showed your love to others. You really were there for others, and you were there also for yourself. And I think that is incredible, and you should be proud of yourself that especially around your heart chakra, you've done a lot of work. And that could be manifesting itself in feeling passion again, in feeling connected to other people around you, in feeling motivated, being alive again. So I really love that for you, Aquarius. And here, especially with this beautiful goddess Minerva and Beliefs card, again, look at the watery energy. There's again a lot of emotional side to it, and I think I'm strongly sensing that some of you may have done some beautiful craft work, perhaps some creativity was flowing through you. Maybe you were doing things with your hands in terms of like creating artwork and all of that. So again, just channeling emotion was very, very easy for you. But also there was some sort of fundamental change into how you've seen the world. It's like you've gained some level of wisdom last year, Aquarius. It's really like the owl symbolism as well, and sort of opening your wings, but these wings kind of really go all the way to the spirit, to the sky. So it's almost like that wisdom that you've gained, it's really sort of going directly from the spirit, directly from the God into you, and it kept you really grounded and calm while you were working through all these different downloads, all these different emotions. And you've changed a lot of things in you. You've changed how you see the world and how you believe things should be. So that's something that definitely you should make a note of it and really kind of keep building up on it, especially in the new year. But what I really want to sort of touch on is that big lesson that you've learned last year. And you have 8 of Cups and Hierophant in terms of how that's changed you. So, there was something that you may have experienced around almost a couple of things. So let me just sort of break that down to you. So first of all, what I'm seeing here is that you've wasted some energy, at least at the beginning of the year, on some things, and maybe you weren't filling areas of your life with your attention and intention and effort as you should have. So it's almost as maybe there was a bit of that fight that you've had with your own laziness, procrastination, maybe the comfort that you wanted to experience. And you also have realized that you really creating these energetic holes in your life that actually weren't really working out long term. And the other aspect to it is as well having relationships that essentially are quite draining. So if it's not something around you and your activities, it could be to do with people around you who haven't really brought much into your life. And it's almost as maybe they weren't totally bad, but at the same time they weren't good either. It's like something wasn't really clicking. So let me have a look here with a little bit more insight to it. Yes, look, 7 of Swords, and especially here with the Fox, which I will be talking about in a moment. So, and you know, Fox has a number 7, 25, so 2 plus 5 is 7, and 7 of Swords. So I do see a strong connection here. And we have 3 of Wands and Ace of Wands. Okay, so, you know, I feel like there was a little bit of unfair play around you. And I feel like some people didn't want to necessarily be fully transparent and honest with you. They kind of had their own agenda and plan. But I feel like with the Fox medicine here, number 7, it's almost as you had this extra superpower and capability to really see, and I will actually first observe and then see. It's almost as you really blended in with the background and let people do their thing so you could understand their real motivation. And that gave you incredible insight, because it's almost as it was the sudden awakening about what really matters for you and where you should put your attention and intention. And Ace of Wands is a great sort of description of that, because it's almost as that gave you this huge illumination and kick, but also not just as an information, but actually action. It's like that moment of silence. So I'm just trying to sort of like get my head around this, because it's almost as you took a lot of silence at the start, a lot of observation, a lot of, you know, kind of playing in a tactical way, a lot of intelligence that went into it. And then once you've gathered your information, you then were able to take immediate actions. And that's one of your lessons. It's once you realize where the holes are in the situation or in the relationships that are around you, once you realize how draining they are and how unproductive and unhelpful they are, you were just like, boom, you know, that's it, I'm out. And you just walked away. And that also comes in the card of 3 of Wands, where it wasn't just understanding and decision, but it was also action. And you know what's fascinating right now? Speaking of fox, I'm literally seeing a fox outside my house. I cannot turn the camera to show you, because it will just like ruin my whole setting here. But believe me, I'm literally looking at the fox outside my house, crossing the street, and you know, this fox actually is limping as well, which, you know, it makes me a bit sad to see it like that. But maybe that's a symbolism as well, that you sort of came out of the situation a bit broken as well. You're still going to be fine, and I'm sending my energy to this fox to hopefully recover and get his strength back. But I feel like that's what happened to you in some way, because that walking away wasn't obviously very easy. You've taken that action, but that action costed you something too. And you know, with the Hierophant card over here, that's changed you a lot, because perhaps you started to realize that with all this love around you, that, well, within you, actually, not even around you, that love within you, that power that you have, you need to be really careful in terms of who you commit to. And I feel like you've become way more committed to yourself, but also committed to perhaps just few people around you that you understood, like, that's like the kind of connections that are worth your effort, time, connection, and your love. And once you've committed to the circle of people, or perhaps one person, or even yourself, the love started to intensify and flow through it, because you became less spread out and less distracted and more dedicated. And people started to not realize, but noticing that from you. It's like suddenly your love became more intense and beautiful and honest, and then your creativity has increased as well. So it's really great to see that you've managed to change that sense of priority around you and what's really important to you. You see, you've got Judgment card here, which is another sort of confirmation that now you're way more judgmental, not in a bad way. It's more like you actually understand what it takes to be be there for everyone versus be there for people who really matter. And I think you are in a place of making still maybe that judgment. If you haven't really completed that process, that might still be happening for you. Going through that understanding of what's important and who is important to you. Six of Cups. Look at the water energy again, right? And let me just focus on the card, because that's a beautiful card. Okay, maybe here. So, with the Six of Cups, that's amazing, because that's a soulmate connection. That is a connection that romantically could be expressed in finding somebody that you really, really click. And that might also be expressed in beautiful friendship that have the deepest bond ever. And because that's being put on the cards of Prince of Cups and Knight of Cups, I also feel like, again, it's just that moment of wanting to love people that really deserve. And once you've done it, or once you do it, if you haven't yet, you'll see how much more you will be experiencing in terms of these vibrations, these energies that will just uplift you even more. So look at all this beautiful watery energy, heart chakra, right? Emotions. It could be that you're connecting to Cancer energy as well. Maybe the person that is around you, either really good friend or potentially a romantic relationship, has a lot of Cancer in the chart. But you finally giving the attention to people who deserve it. And it could be also yourself, right? Because let's not forget that sometimes, we just need to also give love to ourselves. And I think that commitment to yourself is really shining through these cards as well. Okay. Let's talk for a second about what was holding you back and what you've ignored, because I don't want to sort of like completely go in a place of sort of tapping you on the shoulder, but not ignoring the kind of still the part that is really important, that I don't want you to sort of ignore for the next year reading, because what was holding you back is still somehow processing some disappointment and maybe rejection and some sort of feeling of sorrow, something that happened for you that you really hold on to it, right? There was something that essentially broke your heart. Now, we could be talking about a loss, about rejection, about losing somebody. Again, romantically, but not only. You could literally just lose somebody even, through difficult life circumstances. And it took you a long time, even if you don't want to admit that. I feel like somehow deep down, you really hold on to it, and it was a long healing process for you, Aquarius, and you did what you did, and that's fine. There are no regrets, but I just want you to be aware of it, because it's something that obviously was pulling you back into where you could have been a little bit faster. And you know, these are all learnings. So again, I don't want you to take that as some sort of huge regret, more of a lesson that the longer you stay in a place of not processing these disappointments and sorrows, the harder it's going to be for you to move in a place like here, which is, you know, love and beautiful connection and experiencing life as you deserve it. So, you know, you have ignored, oh, actually, you know, I haven't even looked at that card yet properly, but, you know, this is a 5 of Cups, and at the bottom of the card, it literally says disappointments, and that's what you've been ignoring. It's almost as maybe you didn't want to admit to yourself how much you are disappointed with people around you, situations, maybe even to a degree with yourself. Like, you didn't want to process that, because that means maybe you would have to admit to your own mistakes, or maybe you'd have to admit to how people truly are in the, you know, in a true light. And that is sometimes very hard thing to do. So you just tried to maybe act cool, and you tried to sort of act as nothing happened and you're completely fine. But I don't think you were completely fine. So perhaps you are at this point that it's behind you, you've processed that, and you've made your judgment calls, you've made your decisions, you've made your act, you know, you did what you needed to do, and now you're moving on into this beautiful heart space. One piece of advice in terms of going into the new year, there is a death here. So if you haven't processed that yet, if you're still holding on to some relationship, if you haven't completed things, you know, that needed to be completed, or left behind situations, people, old habits, please take that as a final call to kind of really reset that for yourself, because you know, you can't be in a place of defense. You have to confront that. So here you're avoiding a little bit of confronting because you don't want to get hurt again as that limping fox that I, you know, so a few minutes ago. It's almost as, don't get scared of getting hurt, because sometimes getting hurt a little bit, it's a medicine on its own. And that pain that you will feel, it will help you to move on quicker rather than avoiding it. So please, that's a bit of a piece of advice here with the Death card and the 7 of Wands. Don't be afraid to confront what you need to confront, and see things for what they really are, whether that's a situational thing or something to do with relationships around you. And, you know, just take it on your chest and feel the pain and move on. And you will see how quickly you will be in a place where you need to be. And the next year, oh my God, I can't wait to make that reading for you for 2022, because I feel like, you know, with all the things that you've learned, it's going to be amazing. So I'm looking forward to do the next reading for you, Aquarius. And for now, I just hope that you've enjoyed. I hope that you took a lot out of this reading in terms of reflection. And if you want to work with me, by the way, then all the details will be in the description box below on how to find me. And please like, share and subscribe if you haven't yet. I also love reading your comments, so if you want to drop me a note of what that actually means to you as a reading, then I'd love to read it too. And for now, bye bye, and I hope to speak to you soon. Lots of love.